So I'm standing underneath a Cupressus leylandii, or a leylandii hedge, which was planted in 2007. So looking at it today, you can see what's it made, 30 feet at least in less than 15 years. It's thick, it's looking prosperous, it's looking really wonderful. If this was growing out of your neighbour's garden, you wouldn't be best pleased. But let me just talk you through what this leylandii hedge has actually been doing in terms of a windbreak in a new piece of planting. In 2007, this was a field which was growing arable crops, and we've been planting it up ever since. So if we look at where we were in 2007, we had this laurel hedge which went in at the same time as the leylandii, and if we look back at the leylandii, we can see the game was to try and get a windbreak for the rest of the planting on the other side of this hedge up as quickly as possible to break the west wind coming in off the sea, which is only a field or so away. However, we've come to the moment which everybody who loathes leylandii always looks forward to, and that's the moment to chop them all down because they're not needed. And if we look here now, we can see that the leylandii are beginning to prevent this laurel hedge greening up at the base. They're beginning to swamp the whole laurel hedge. They're wasting a huge amount of room which we could have used to plant new things in this new piece of the woodland garden at Cupressus, and so they've got to go. We've had a very enjoyable day or two chopping them down. Nothing burns better than leylandii. You can chuck on huge great pieces and they crackle and spit away, and everyone has a very jolly time. The smell of the sap in the wood is really quite good too. You can light the fire by some of the stumps, give them a bit of a burn as well. And basically the next thing is to get a mini digger, or possibly a larger digger, looking at the size of these stumps, and rip out the roots. And if you look further down the side here, you can see we have removed quite a few in a year or two ago, and we've started to plant up what is now probably a good 10-12 yards of space which was being wasted with the leylandii. You can see we've got a few smaller growing shrubs established there, but once we got the stumps out, there's room here for a nice few magnolias, and we're going to increase our Cratyagus species collection here as well in where these leylandii were. They've done their job. They've done an excellent job in breaking wind going into the plantations, but now's the time for them to go. If this was growing in a hedge of yours or coming over from the neighbours, you'd be saying the same thing. Underneath these hedges it's very dry and very little will grow. Frankly, these trees have their uses, but unless you can keep them clipped into a nice little hedge 8, 10, 12 feet high, they're an absolute nightmare. In a large woodland garden they have their uses, but the head gardener Jamie Parsons always says his best day of the week is when you chop down a leylandii, and I rather agree with him.